Hello everyone, my name is Merik Sakalaki. I am a research associate at the University of Manchester in the UK, and today I will present to you our work on enabling transparent acceleration of big data frameworks using heterogeneous hardware. As the amount of data that requires processing has been increasing at a rapid pace, the majority of cloud providers have shifted from CPU-only clusters to XPU clusters, meaning clusters that are equipped with heterogeneous hardware devices such as multi-core CPUs, GPUs, and FPGAs. However, the utilization of these resources is not trivial for most big data developers. The main reasons for that are, first of all, that the platforms that are currently used in big data analytics, such as Apache Flink and Spark, were designed for CPU-only execution, and also because these platforms expose APIs in managed programming languages such as Java or Scala. However, hardware accelerators can be targeted via non-managed programming languages like CUDA or OpenCL. Over the last few years, several efforts have been made from both the industry and the academia to bridge the gap between hardware accelerators and big data frameworks. These works can be split into two categories. The first category consists of frameworks that require big data developers to provide a low-level implementation of their code. And the second category consists of frameworks that expose new APIs in a managed programming language and then generate the kernel on demand. Both of these approaches lead to code fragmentation, since existing applications need to be rewritten either in a low-level programming language or with new APIs. There is lack of transparency because developers need to reason in advance about things such as performance and device selection. In some cases, there is lock-in to a specific type of vendor, for instance, lock-in only to NVIDIA GPUs. And also, there are frameworks that have limited device coverage. For instance, they can target only GPUs or only FPGAs. The analysis of the current state of the art motivated the question behind this work, which is, can we utilize hardware acceleration on big data frameworks in the same seamless way that we execute on CPUs? In order to examine the feasibility of this question, we developed a prototype using Apache Flink as our big data platform and Tornado VM for on-demand compilation on heterogeneous hardware devices. I assume the majority is familiar with Apache Flink. Therefore, in the next few slides, just a brief introduction of Tornado VM will be provided. Tornado VM is a JVM plugin that accelerates Java methods on heterogeneous hardware devices, including multi-core CPUs, Intel, NVIDIA, ARM, and AMD GPUs, and Intel and Xilinx FPGAs. Some of the key features of Tornado VM are that it offers automatic code specialization at the compiler level. It has the ability to seamlessly migrate execution from one heterogeneous device to another, and also to orchestrate multiple tasks to run concurrently on multiple heterogeneous devices. Tornado VM exposes a task-based API to developers. On the pink box, you can see a vector addition written adhering to the programming model of Tornado VM. There are two things to notice at this point. The first is that the input and output types are in a primitive array format. This is true not only for Tornado, but for other similar frameworks as well, like Aparape, and it's imposed by the underlying hardware resources, because hardware accelerators do not support Java object types. The second thing to notice is that the parallelism is expressed via an annotated for loop. The way that Tornado functions are invoked are through task schedule objects. A task schedule is provided by Tornado VM in order to group together functions that have data dependencies between them so as to limit data transfers. A small note at this point, at the moment the invocation API of Tornado VM has changed. However, this change does not affect any of the concepts that will be discussed in the next slides. To enable transparent acceleration in Apache Flink, we augmented it with a set of modules. First of all, a code morphing module, which dynamically adapts existing Flink user functions to Tornado VM compatible code. Secondly, a data morphing module, which modifies data to be suitable for hardware acceleration. And finally, a dynamic code generation module, which encapsulates Tornado VM, extended with a set of compiler phases to automatically generate GPU and FPGA kernels. Let's have a closer look now at each of these modules. The code morphing module patches the Flink user function into a function of a skeleton class that matches the API of Tornado VM. Here you can see a map operator that is written using the Flink API. What the code morphing module does is that, first of all, it analyzes this function to extract the input and output types. Then, using this information, it traverses the Tornado map class to identify a map function with the equivalent input and output types. Finally, using bytecode manipulation, it patches the function call of this operator into the parallel loop. This augmented Tornado map class is then distributed among the cluster using the configuration data of the data flow graph. Then there is the data morphing module, which extracts the raw data in byte format from the Flink serializers. Even though in theory this byte data should be suitable for hardware acceleration, there is some pre-processing that needs to take place first. The reason is that JVM uses big endian ordering for serialization. However, the vast majority of processors are little endian. Therefore, in order for the ordering of the bytes of each field of the object need to be reversed to change this endianness. Additionally, in case of irregular field sizes, padding needs to be added to ensure aligned memory accesses. The reason is that unaligned memory accesses result in undefined results for NVIDIA GPUs and deteriorated performance for Intel GPUs. Here you can see an example of this process. So this byte array represents a set of tuple2 objects. The first field is a double, and the second field is an integer. As you can see, for all these fields, the bytes are reversed, and then at the end of the representation of the integer, 4 bytes are added for padding. Finally, after the data and the functions are ready, they're passed to the dynamic code generation module. This module encapsulates Tornado VM extended with a set of compiler phases to ensure that the read and write semantics of the Flink user function correspond with the format of the data as was generated from the data morpher. Specifically, the following compiler phases were added to Tornado VM. First of all, an object replacement phase, which replaces the Flink user function accesses on the objects with byte array accesses. Then, in case that padding has been added, there is a padding option calculation phase, which calculates the correct addresses to read and write from given these new bytes. Additionally, we encountered a case where one of the object fields, specifically one of the tuple fields, was a primitive array. So this case needed particularly handling for the offsets and the way that the data is accessed. Additionally, because dynamic data structures like array lists are very common for Flink programs and Java programs in general, we included an extra phase that replaces the operations on these dynamic data structures like get, set, and size with the equivalent operations on byte arrays. And finally, because the matrices are represented in a flattened byte array form by the data morphing module, we have extra phases in order to access the rows and columns of the matrices in the correct way. We performed a very vast experimental evaluation for our system across several different configurations. First of all, we evaluated our platform on a GPU cluster compared to Flink scale-out. For a matrix multiplication benchmark, we observed up to 65x speedup. However, for a logistic regression use case, we observed up to 4.7x slowdown for our best configuration compared to the best Flink CPU configuration. After further analysis, we deducted that this is due to the high cost of marshalling, which takes place on the data morphing module, and because in this particular case, there were many data transfers. Additionally, we compared our platform against the current support that Flink has for GPU execution, which is via JCUDA. To do this, we used two benchmarks, the pi estimation, for which we consistently perform better over both Flink CPU and Flink GPU, and also a vector addition example, for which even though we perform better than the baseline Flink CPU, the Flink CPU implementation outperformed our framework. Additionally, we tested our framework on an FPGA testbed. For a DFT benchmark, we observed up to 184x speedup. However, for the matrix multiplication, even though for GPUs we saw high speedups, for the FPGA execution, we observed consistent slowdowns. This agrees also with the OpenCL portability issues that have been recorded by other studies and highlights the importance to be able to migrate tasks from one heterogeneous device to another at runtime. Finally, we also evaluated a platform in hybrid execution mode, where some of the operators were executed on the CPU and others on the GPU. Specifically for K-means, we got up to 21x speedup, and for an IoT use case, up to 2.5x speedup. To summarize, the transparent hardware acceleration of big data frameworks is a hard task. Currently, all existing approaches require big data developers to either rewrite their applications or provide an implementation in a low-level programming language. In this work, we provided an insight on the challenges of transparent acceleration of unmodified big data applications, and we proposed a set of techniques to overcome these challenges via a code morphing, a data morphing, and a dynamic JIT compilation module. This work was partially funded by grants from Intel Corporation and the European Union Horizon projects. Thank you for your attention.